And what I'm reading right now is the book that the band book club will be discussing this coming Tuesday evening, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And that is amazing book. I'm only about 2/3 of the way through it now. True crime, but it's not what I expected. I opened it up and the shooting doesn't even take place until halfway through the book. You learn about Savannah, Georgia, and the old families and the new society, modern day society in the 1980s, and the old houses, and it's a wonderful book. And one thing I really enjoy about being part of a book group is that it takes the solitary pleasure of reading and makes it a communal pleasure. And by talking with others about books, you can enjoy books that you might not have even gravitated to yourself. For my own recreational reading,
absolutely.
I tend to read mystery and science fiction, but I've learned a lot of other fabulous things from some of the other more character-driven novels that other people have suggested, and it's a great way to see books through others' eyes as well as through your own.
Yeah, that makes me think, real quick, you say kind of exposing people to books that maybe they wouldn't have read. And sometimes I feel like our role in the library, like when I do reader's advisory, or, I've been doing some of these videos with Read More, where I'm just trying to put books in front of people. It's like disrupt the algorithm. Because, for a lot of folks, it's like if they're on Amazon, well, guess, and you look at a book, you buy a book, well, then they just recommend another book that's like that book. And before you know, it's kind of like this internet phenomenon of just like the bubble.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you get a book pick from someone who's just like totally not like you at all, you're getting something from left field. And you can only get that like in the real world or with the library, not with like the way the internet is set up. That's just my little soapbox. But so you mentioned with Zoom and your folks moving to Zoom, have you had the same experience as Stacy with like some folks having some qualms with Zoom?
Yes,
yeah.
we've had some, and I'm sort of in between. I'm both comfortable but not as knowledgeable as I would like to be. But I'm learning more all the time myself, so
Got it.
Useful.
Yeah. So real quick, let's go around since we heard from everybody. Now you do banned books, which I imagine is well, I do, and I have more questions too about how do you keep a book club going for 17 years? Gosh. Yeah. It's like in Wikipedia when you see the bands and the members, like how long they stayed in the band. You know what I'm talking about?
Right,
those
right, yeah, yeah.
That's what makes me think of. So you do banned books. So I imagine there's a lot of like contention, maybe sometimes. Like for all three of you, and we'll go with Stacy, Rachel, then Pam. Have you ever like had to kind of mediate, not an argument, but like a heated discussion that maybe was going to go off the rails? Like, how did you handle that? How do you think others should like respond to?
Yes, it's interesting because in addition to the book group that I facilitate, I was a roving branch substitute librarian, so I've helped in other groups when I haven't known people all that well too, and you can get a sense of how things go. I think part of it is deflecting criticism by trying to seek out so that everybody feels like they are heard. And that's one of the most important things that a book group can do. We always start by going around and everybody has first impressions, and then somebody else can share a first impression, and you can get a sense of things.
Stacy, have you kind of dealt with that before, Stacy? Like, well, I mean, you don't have to say too much, but.
Right. We've had a couple of books that have heavier topics. I think it might have been the One Book, One San Diego that dealt with like the AIDS crisis. And definitely there were members that some didn't want to attend the meeting. And so I just tried to keep it light and non-political. And when we had the meeting, everyone was pretty respectful. We've had a couple times when people take the floor for a bit too long. And it is a bit tricky trying to insert there and say, okay, it's time to move on, because I'm not super loud anyway, but for the most part, our members are all friends in real life, so it works pretty well.
Yeah, I went to a friends meeting once where the person is no longer with the group, but she was the president at the time, and she had a gavel, and she would just smack the gavel when it was like, "You're done, next," and I'm like, maybe that would work. No, so Rachel, you said, I love what you said about setting the tone, and I hate using this word, but it's like, do you feel like you have to be the alpha in the room, like to just?
Yeah, and you know, sometimes, yeah, like you know, it's disagreements though, as long as again you set the tone and say, you know, not everyone has to love the book or have even read it. That actually is what makes a lively discussion, but again, set the tone, keep it civil. And but yeah, there has been times I'd have to like literally like raise my hand, like I need to, that's like play off music or something. Because sometimes, yeah, like you said, the conversations could get, but it has also provoked, you know, like great conversations. Like people would bring their personal experiences. This reminds me of a time when, you know, and it's been really wonderful and a great bonding experience. So for the most part, it's all great.
Yeah, like overall, I mean, I think we want to sell, and I think our experience book clubs are a positive thing. But, you know, they have potential if they have human beings in it. So I got the 10-minute warning. So I do want to touch on, you know, what should a person expect in general, just in your experience working for the public library, if they're trying to find a book club, you know, I mean, do you guys have anything to say, like what a person could expect about if you're trying to give a book club a shot? What should you look out for? So again, Stacy, we'll start with Stacy, then we'll go Rachel, then Pam.
Sure. Well, as far as starting them, I had taken a few notes. I started the Facebook group, and I think it's good to make it easy to join. So I have I put rules of conduct on. So once they join, they've agreed to the rules of conduct, and I made it a public group. So if they've had a Facebook membership for like 3 months, then it's an automatic, they can automatically join. And I haven't had any trouble with negative comments or anything. I was a bit worried about that for a while when you open it up to a public setting, but everyone's been very nice. I think they've been really appreciative to be able to talk about books and have a book community when we're all stuck at home.
So Rachel, what about you? Do you have any recommendations for people who wanted to like start a book club, or if they wanted to join one, just things to look out for?
Yeah, so as far as starting one, I mean, well, for whether you're joining, starting one, certainly keep an open mind. And, you know, if you're starting one, you don't necessarily have to, oh gosh, we need at least 10 members and we're going to read War and Peace. You know, it could be you and your bestie that reads, you know, books written by the Real Housewives, which is something I would totally do. But certainly keep an open mind. And actually, back again with the Mission Valley Club, there has been members that attended because they saw it on our website, because we do have a website, which Trevor will link to the different branches that have clubs when they meet, and they'll just be like, hey, I just moved into town, so you guys had a book club, and that was a great way for them to, you know, create friendships and also
emotional connection, right? Just trying to find people who like books.
Yeah.
So Pam, what about you? What would you have to say for people wanting to join or start one? Just things to beware or things to know if they should know now.
Okay, something to know about joining a book club is find out when it's meeting, find out if it's the sort of book club that requires you to read it and really does a detailed discussion, or if they're okay with you coming because, you know, they're happy to have you be there and learn about the group. I've had people come to meetings of the band book club expecting it to be a book talk, and they hadn't read the book and they felt very embarrassed, and I've assured them, no, this is a group that's okay, you can do it, but we do also have people who have read it in detail. Just plunge into doing it. some people have been put off by our title, The Banned Book Club, thinking, oh, we're very serious, and, we're sitting right down to read, how about Ulysses, okay? Actually, we did finally tackle Ulysses after we had been around for many, many years. And I'm going to look up how many years we've been around. I might have accidentally overestimated. I'll let you know. But we did that. But we have also read books that people just really recommended. We had somebody recommending Anne of Green Gables because she'd recently read it and loved it. And lo and behold, did you know that that book got challenged? Somebody thought that the attitude of Marilla was unfair to orphans in it. So it really has been a banned or challenged book somewhere. But we just have fun. If you want to start your own book club, you can do that too. You don't have to know a lot about it. Get a few people who want to read a book and talk about it. I like the idea of having an annual select the titles so that draws people in who haven't even been to one of your meetings even, and they can find out more about it. And that's a good way to do it. But you don't have to be that organized from the beginning. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, just jump in, right? And you kind of figure it out afterwards. So.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 3 minutes left. I guess we'll just kind of wrap it up. I did want to put a plug in for, on Facebook as well, via the Scripps Miramar Ranch Library page. I mediate the Bucket List Book Club, where we started up in COVID during the closure. And the idea was using Project Gutenberg text that everyone can access if you have the internet. So again, it's still a little qualified, but they are free texts on Project Gutenberg, usually classics where there's no copyright on them anymore. So they can just throw up HTML on there and you can read that. And there's graphics too. So we have done Moby Dick, which there was a great response to that, but that was when like everyone was stuck at home. Then I found we did Dante's Inferno, and my numbers are really good in my club, but like I don't get a lot of thumbs up or comments. So if you're in the Bucket List Book Club and you're watching this, please smash that like button. But now we're doing 12 Years a Slave by Sullivan Northrop, which I had never read, and I'm actually really enjoying it, despite the topic of it. I'm really into like the language of like the way the guy writes. Like Stacy, I'm trying to figure out what to read next. I'm thinking, because we're doing this one August, September, I'm thinking October we're going to do Frankenstein, maybe. Even though a lot of people have read that, but it's free.
Do you read those out loud, Trevor, or do you?
I was doing read out louds, but I felt like the strength of what I was doing with like these older classics was to just like post secondary sources online and then just kind of do summary recaps and post questions, hope people respond to them. Just because I noticed other librarians in the system, Christina Wainwright at Pacific Beach and Bill at La Jolla, they're doing read out louds, and I don't really like reading out loud.
May I jump in and put in a plug? Christina Wainwright is an amazing read out loud. I am right now hooked on her reading Count of Monte Cristo, and I joined in on her read out loud toward the end of when she was reading Jane Eyre. She did Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice after that, and those were both lengthy classics. Little did she know just how lengthy Count of Monte Cristo is when she chose that for the next one. Anybody who would still like to jump in on it, we're still only about halfway through the book, and we're 500 pages in. It's an 1,100-page book. She reads 2 or 3 chapters a day, weekday afternoons. It's tea with the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes.
That's fun. So
thank you for that. We're going to have to leave it at that, folks. This has been Read More, and I want to thank you, Stacy, Rachel, Pam. This has been awesome. Book clubs, folks. We'll have all the links listed below. So keep reading, and always remember, read more.
Yay.
Hey, thank you
Bye.
guys. I'll
Thank
stop
you.
recording now. It's going to cut off
Trevor.
any second. I hope you all got enough chance to talk. I feel like we could do another one of
We
these,
could
really.
do another
but-
one of these, couldn't
yeah.
we? Thanks. Trevor, this was fun.
Yeah,
It
thank
was
you
fun.
all so much. Thank you for taking the time.
All
right.
Very
Thank
fun.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.